The recording has started. Who would like to give the retelling of the previous session?
I'm gonna try. Let's see. We collected ourselves as a party on the Prime World, and we took a while to figure out how to fly a spaceship. It was very complicated. No one knew what to do. People were getting very suspicious. They did not like the setup at all. But we eventually hooked someone up to a hat and went flying off. And then we kept doing so and realized that we would not be able to do that for very long. And that person decided to continue to strain themselves while we searched for alternative means. We eventually were able to give that person a rest by using fuel that we found in the cargo. And then we reached out into a crack in the sphere that is our space, which I'm still trying to understand. It's very confusing. And then we ventured through and gathered some rocks that had caused or were damage of that crack. And we used our brilliant people to figure out the thing we had been sent out there for, which was the trajectory of which the object had flown. We successfully did that, and then came back through, and through some miscalculations, had to do some deftly maneuvering and figuring out how to basically escape constantly exploding space. I don't know how else to describe. And then we got away and we're flying away from all that. And I think that's where we.
Yeah, and those guys were taking a long rest. You did well to avoid the explosion of the highly flammable phlogiston, which was seeping into your world, that had been ignited by what you used to think of as a star, but what you have now observed as a portal to the elemental plane of fire. Numerous such portals abound in what you once believed to be the sky, what you now know to be a black crystal that you are on the inside of, with your world, and its sun that is tethered to the ceiling of the world by a glass cable and forever spinning around the planet. Yeah, so we are now going to change focus to the other party, as this party has completed its objective, and presumably sent the coordinate information through your magic notebook to the Druidess, who is sitting in Sigil right now, preparing to greet her triumphantly returning party. And that is the party we're going to turn our attention to. That is the party that just managed to get back to Sigil with the Black Lotus. This party consists of one ghost, one clerk, one druid of a ghost panther. Max is not here tonight, so that'll be NPC'd. The druid of shapeshifting, and the priestess of fate. Coming out of the Grey Wastes, you guys did get grayed quite a bit. There's a little color left in your skin, but your clothes are permanently gray. Unless you want to get a change of clothes when you arrive in Sigil. But your arrival is greeted by the scholar, her mouse, and a cube, a walking, talking cube that you now know to be a Modron.
Wasn't I thought Max's alchemist was with the Lotus group.
Nope, the alchemist was with the space party. You never saw him because he never left his bag.
Okay, because I know, because he was the one that had the alchemist with him.
No, that the elephant alchemist refused to. With 6 hands, he refused to go to the Prime World. So Prime Worlds are traps.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so he would be with the Lotus group then, because he wouldn't be on the Prime World.
He's actually in Sigil, and he's with the welcoming party. So he's standing behind the Druid Scholar lady with her mathematical mouse.
Okay, that explains everything. Okay.
This is quite the orderly party, being made of the mathematical creature, a Modron, which is purely just law, order, and mechanics, a scholar. So the Chaositech is definitely standing apart in terms of the theme here. But the first sort of thing that you're told is that a special arrangement has been reached to a special arrangement has been reached to forego your prosecution. And the druidess kindly explains. She says, apparently, the Jade Emperor has spoken on your behalf, and as long as you return the item, the Modrons will not press charges in their court of law. This is, from what I understand, very unusual, as to them the law is absolute. But the Jade Emperor made a compelling case in your behest. Please just return the stolen item.
Return the item to whom?
She gestures to the Modron.
The key from his back.
Got it. Do I have it at this point? I think I have it.
You've been carrying it this whole time, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I know what I took, so I'll hand it over.
Upon receiving the key, the Modron states that obviously the gears turn in synchronicity, and just as each tooth meets with each other tooth, so too this item you've returned will be the item that will now take you all to meet the Jade Emperor. And so using this key, he portals you guys to the Jade Palace. The god of the Chinese pantheon is not in his smaller, more personal demeanor or attire. He is in full regalia, atop his throne, which itself is at the top of a very long flight of stairs. And you guys have entered through a portal that immediately courtiers, I guess you would think of them, people in equally bizarre, silky costumes, begin reconfiguring this strange portal archway in the middle of the floor. Approaching the throne, he greets you and says, obviously, you have done as requested. Alchemist, make the potion. The alchemist says, I don't take orders from you.
You gotta be kidding me.
None of them would.
Could you please make the potion for us?
He sort of squints and cocks his head and goes, why?
It is a very sounds like it is a very difficult potion to make, and I would like to see the crafts of your skills.
Says, yeah, I mean, of course it's hard, but I know how to do it. That's why you guys brought me here. Thing is, I don't like to be brought. This is all very offensive to me. This reminds me of how I was treated with my cousins. He does look very much like he belongs from a Hindu pantheon.
Is there anything you want us to do for you first?
He sighs and shrugs and says, looks at us like, hey, tell my cousin to fuck off. The Jade Emperor leans out the window and says, Brahmin! Your cousin says to fuck off! And he comes back. Satisfied? He just shrugs, yeah, sure, okay. And over the course of a couple hours, brews for you the potion to bring Uthlor's memory back.
And mine, hopefully.
Yeah, he's got enough. Uthlor is being brought from the garden, but the potion is ready. You may drink of it first if you wish.
Here goes nothing, guys.
All right, go ahead and tell us what you remember.
Oh my, it's starting to come back to me. I was fighting in some battle.
The Jade Emperor asks you, were you wizard or warrior?
I was a warrior. I got hit by an arrow. It got too close to my heart, and I bled out.
Did you fight with strength or with skill?
I was quick with the blade.
The Emperor nods. Quick, but not quick enough. Which is different than being strong, but not strong enough.
Sadly, not quick enough.
Who were you before this battle took your life?
I recall that my name was Voreo.
Were you soldier or general?
I was a mere soldier. I'm not exactly sure what armies I could have been from in this universe.
Oh, literally any. This is Planescapes. This place borders and connects to every universe ever. So you can create whatever backstory you want for this character. You've told him that basically you were not of nobility, so he's going to treat you differently because of that. Says, as a soldier, now deceased, I offer you the opportunity to join my guard. Will you serve the Emperor of all of Heaven and the will of Jade?
Well, I don't have much else going for me, so I think that it's a good idea that I pledge my loyalty to you. And
He shakes his head and says, loyalty is not given on a whim because you have nothing else going on. This is a serious affair. If you would not take it seriously, I would not have you.
I shrug and say, we'll agree to disagree.
The Emperor actually regards you, when you say that, as you do represent a very powerful and arguably orderly entity. Says, you believe it is my fate to have this man serve me?
Oh, no. I wouldn't be so crass as to tell you what your fate is. I just think loyalty is always given on a whim.
I kneel and ask for forgiveness and pledge my loyalty again.
The receiver of the loyalty thinks it's a very serious contract.
The Emperor nods, accepts your forgiveness, and proceeds with a ceremony to knight you as a Jade Guard. You're given a bright emerald ring crafted from a green metal. It is a pale green, not the green steel that you've seen weapons of throughout the plains, but more like just like a very light tint of green. Set into it is a bright emerald that glows with an inner light. You're also given emerald-colored robes that are affixed to wooden armor, but this wood seems to have the hardness of steel.
Thank
You
you
were
for
you
your
were a
offering.
gardener briefly, weren't you?
What?
You briefly were in the garden as a gardener, weren't you? That's where they first found you.
Yes, I was tending to the garden.
Okay, so you're totally aware then of how awesome the tree is that they make this armor out of. It's basically invulnerable to harm. That doesn't mean that the person in it can't be harmed by things going around the armor, but weapons that strike the armor need to be significantly magical to have a chance to pierce it.
I always wondered what it would be like to wear one of these.
You have tended the tree that they extract the bark from to make this armor many times. All right, and with that settled, Uthalor is brought in and also fed the potion. There is a great change within him. The pendant around him seems to be struggling to contain his anger, but it does ultimately succeed, and he calms down. I recognize some of you. Druids, yes. Druids from my home. The rest here is strange to me, but I would try to help those who have helped me. Above all, I want to return to my mission. The Emperor questions him on his mission. This is the stone. The stone needs to return home.
What stone?
The stone was filled with magics, competing magics. Not born of the same stuff and yet related, as though distant relatives. I took a fragment of it. I tried to use it to protect the stone. And I was foiled. I was not strong enough. But when you hold it, you can hear the echoes of those magics. The writings of the leader of Runeterra may have some relevance in this. As you know that he did mention that when he touched the stone, it was dangerous.
Yeah, we've heard about the dangers of the stone. Um,
You say we need to return it somewhere?
The body of it used to be part of a council chamber, long ago destroyed. It wants to return to join its fellow stones. The stones want to come together. But there is an energy within them, an energy that blew them apart. And that energy is still present, though greatly weakened. It's still strong enough to drive a man mad.
just like what happened with you.
Yes. I still hear its echoes in my head. The Emperor says, from what I can tell, you will always hear those echoes in your head.
Well, before it starts to do more damage, perhaps we should reunite it with the other stones as quick as possible.
Uthlor says that would be best. The only thing I couldn't figure out is where the biggest piece of it is.
Well, there goes my second question.
Well, I know that there's a group trying to find out exactly where it possibly could have landed after it went through a god.
Your mathematical companion squeaks that it has gotten a message in the book. Coordinates.
How convenient.
Yes.
I mean, he is mathematical.
It seems that your other party is headed there now.
Is there any possible way for us to catch up to them?
Oh, the Jade Emperor says, oh yes, of course. The gears have been turning, even as we speak. He gestures to the portal in the middle of the room, the one you guys came through that has been reconfigured. And he says, even now, on your homeworld, fools are trying to use the stones to breach here into the planes. We have built this portal to redirect their efforts, to draw their connection here. He is just kind of looking at a clock. It's like counting the seconds. And eventually he puts his hand in the air and goes, wait for it, now. And the portal flares up, and through it you see the... Tice, you have two of your characters now on the scene, as you have your king present through the portal. They appear to have chained the stones from the impact that killed the god in a sort of a ring around the portal they were using to go between cities, and by boosting its power, have pushed through into the planes.
Well, that is interesting. That doesn't look like the city of the elves.
The Emperor says, the gears turn. Go quickly. Turn with them.
Yeah, yeah. I always can forget my character's names.
For the druids and primes in this party, this is a portal home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go through as soon as I.
Yeah, well, I will go through as well.
The Emperor turns to his newest knight and says, your first mission, go through this portal and see to it that they remove the threat of the stone. Get it away from that world and away from those demons. By any means you can. Do you understand?
Yes, my lord.
I have great faith in you.
I'll go first.
You probably don't, actually, because I don't think you can outrun Troy's character, who's diving through that as soon as he sees a way home. He's been trying to get home for a long time.
Yeah, I was gone as soon as it looked like.
Oh, I shall follow him then.
Fair enough. Priestess of Fate, you are under no particular obligations here, and may do as you see fit.
I shrug. I am never under any particular obligations.
So true.
I shall follow them through the portal, as I was meant to do.
All right. You guys are in Runeterra, the city of churning gears and a dead god. Welcome back to your Prime World. The alchemist declines to continue this ridiculous adventure, and certainly is not setting foot on a Prime World. So, away he goes. That's the elephant alchemist. Yeah. Let's see. Does the clerk go through? Because the clerk is not Primeborn. Tice, this would be your character. You have another character on the field. You don't necessarily need to bring the clerk through. You can play as the King of Runeterra from now on if you want. Oh, he stepped away to take care of the baby. Never mind.
So who all came through? Aside from Tice, we'll figure out.
Both druids, the Priestess of Fate, and the newly knighted Jade Guard.
Wow, this place looks crazy. This is where you guys are from?
Yeah, this city's a really poor sampling of this particular planet.
We are not from here. Almost home, I could say. I'm looking around for how to get out of the city. That's what I'm currently.
The city itself is a cacophony of dark blacks and deep reds. There's definitely a theme of blood in the decor. But outside on the city streets, you see that much of the city seems to be made of turning wheels with arcane runes marked on them, which rotate, shifting the runes, shifting their meanings, and also performing tasks deep beneath the earth that you might not want to know because they sound like they go swish.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Tice, do you want your clerk character to come through into the Prime World? This may be a one-way ticket for that character, and you don't necessarily need them as you can play as your king from here on out.
It can work either way because this is still like sort of a like he probably could stay in Sigil for the court case, but also this is like one is like getting rid of the stone is one one up against his last employers.
Oh, it's up to you. It's your character.
I'll just let him, I'll keep him in I'll keep him in Sigil for now, and he'll do the lawyer stuff.
Okay, so rather than go through the portal, he returns to Sigil. All right then. So for the continuing purposes of this party, you'll be playing as the King of Runeterra.
Yes.
Yeah. So some long lost members of your planet have returned. Go ahead and greet them.
Oh, I see that you have the right materials for the job. I do not know exactly what's been happening as much. We're currently defending ourselves against the Empire.
In her book, the scholar says that she has made contact with the other party, who have a flying conveyance that may be of some use. Bear in mind, of course, that many of the demons can fly as well.
Well, if they can give me a location, with some magic, I can be able to get us there.
They're able to bring the ship down into the planet's atmosphere and get it pretty much anywhere they want. But specifically, she points to the ultimate goal, which is inside the place where they used to hold the Starmoots. The strange cliffs on all sides location that was always a little bit weird in terms of its shape houses within its stony exterior the original meteorite that killed the god. Looking at it now in hindsight, it does seem like maybe something crashed here a long time ago and just magnetically pulled other stones around it to hide itself. And over time, weathering just sort of wore things down to where it looks now.
So this could be the work of an even greater stone underneath our feet.
Not underneath your feet at this city, though. But yeah, so it's several miles away. It's outside the city. It has currently no guard because everyone was blown up in that explosion when the Empire betrayed you. Not you specifically, but like the party and the countries that lived on this planet. The Ardesian Empire has definitely not been kind to these lands. The areas between here and there are almost certainly overrun by Imperial troops coming to reinforce the siege upon the city. While they've been driven back for now by many nasty dwarven traps and powerful magics, they are still out there, outside the walls, waiting. Now, Tice, you have some magic you can use. You can try and teleport people to places. You need to go with them. So it's going to be everybody going all at once. Where do you want to try and teleport them to?
Who's all here at the moment?
Currently, you have the Jade Knight, the King of Runeterra, your Druid of Shapeshifting, the Priestess of Fate, and the General Guards of Runeterra. The portal to the Druid places is not currently active because it's been overridden to link up to the Outer Planes, but that could easily be undone now. The chains could be taken off the stones, and the portal returns to normal operations.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yes, we'll unchain the stones, and I'll grab a glove and I'll pocket one of them for now. I'll suggest if anyone else knows how to use magic, just have one on them just in case. But as a warning, it probably might kill you.
That's enough for me not to pick up one.
Yeah, no thanks.
We're picking up rocks now.
Apparently, magical death rocks.
They enhance your magic greatly, but at a cost.
I take my glove off of my right hand, wave it over the rocks, then put my glove back on, and say, "I will not be picking up one of these rocks."
I don't need to describe to you the absence that you felt when you looked at your own future when holding your hand over that rock. It wasn't that there was no future, it was like a negative future, where some hole in the universe the shape of you took over.
Yes, I'll be able to use this to reformat the portal into the area that we're going for, because I'm very familiar with that area.
Well, with the stones unchained, the portals now connect back to the Druid little portal network. So you can get to any of the other cities. At this point, all of the cities are under siege. They've even found, Loam?
Loam Firma?
Yeah, they've managed to locate a couple of the entrances into Loam Firma. They haven't managed to breach it yet. It's very well defended, but yeah, there
Also,
now
they'll
are people
collapse
out
it.
there basically blockading the main entrances.
You just dig more.
Yeah, there are countless secret entrances, of course. Not everybody knows what all of them are, though. Many agents keep their secrets a secret to their graves.
So yeah, we need to get away out of the city without having them pursuing us.
The only city which has not yet been successfully surrounded is the Wandering Rut, because they keep packing up their tents and moving in the middle of sandstorms. So you could go to the Wandering Rut in the Badlands, that's an option. You could go to Loam Firma and try and use one of the back doors, some secret exit. You could go to the Druid City, and it's also under siege, but you could go there. It's an option.
Preferably a place with as little as fighting as possible. Unless it's entirely necessary.
Where did we leave off with the kings? Did they return to their respective cities? I couldn't remember.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Each was directing the defense of their city, and they were occasionally meeting up using the portals to confer.
Yeah. I could potentially send a few of us using blood magic to get to the meet and greet. I'm not sure how the rock itself will affect the teleportation.
You've never noticed any difficulty using magic around the Star Moot before. You've never tried to teleport with a magic stone in your pocket, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll just give me one moment, and he'll call in a couple of guards, and he'll like look at them and be like, and he'll like, for the good of the city, and he'll give a look. They'll like they say, but of course, and they'll like pull out their daggers, and they will execute themselves as the blood starts pouring onto the ground. And the king will start making his start quickly getting to it to start forming runes and circles on the ground with the blood while it's still fresh.
Rune Terra, ladies and gentlemen. City of Blood. All right, so the energy from the ritual sacrifices fills you up. Is everybody on board with this plan of teleporting directly to Starmoot and having the airship meet you there?
I suppose so, but that was pretty gruesome.
I mean, at least they weren't animals. That would have been truly horrendous.
Runeterra, the greenest city in the planet.
Totally. I mean, if it was animals, like, animals can't give informed consent, but these guys did this willingly. They stabbed themselves. Ritual suicide. It's the cleanest and most moral way to have a blood sacrifice.
Well, I'm glad the Jade Emperor doesn't use blood magic.
A lot of people are glad about that. There's actually an entire role-playing setting dedicated to people being really happy the Jade Emperor doesn't use blood magic. It's called Rokugan. The game is called Legend of the Five Rings, and that's basically the entire premise of the game. Thank goodness the Emperor doesn't use blood magic.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's actually where the keeper of the defender of the city of Sigil comes from.
Okay. This teleport is a little bit gruesome. You all feel a little bit sticky afterwards. You think you may have gotten some blood on you from the magic. Tice, where was the stone when you teleported?
It was in my front left pocket.
Okay, I'm going to need you to make a... this is basically a test of your willpower against the stone, as it's trying to arc through the blood to your flesh. It's not as clean a connection as if you were holding it in your hand, but there's organic material that it can make a direct line through, and it is fresh, basically living, very close to living material. So it's a good chance the stone can get at your mind. You're going to have to fight back.
All right.
You are going up against a difficulty of 4. What is your roll?
I'm currently looking here. I know that either focus would work. I'm just never go what I'd pair it with. So I'm trying what kind of like is there what if and it sounds like a save, not a skill.
It kind of is, but if you can think of something you can narrate that would justify using something, you're welcome to roll for it. I just want to hear kind of what your narration is to justify it. Otherwise, you've got 4 attacks coming at you to not be mind controlled by the stone.
Let's see here. I'm going to say being as I'm going to use as being a leader of someone that knows all about manipulation and all this other stuff. I want to like use my own persona to fight against it, as I am as this is not my first rodeo of having to fight control over something with the battle of wits.
Okay. That sounds kind of like propriety.
Yeah. So cunning propriety.
You do also have the option to just give up and let it mind control you. But yeah, let's see how you roll.
Uther.
Ah, yes, poor Uther is sleeping.
I should be awake.
All right.
Okay, you buried the needle on that one. Good job. So you force it out of your head and get yourself cleaned of blood and viscera before, proceeding. All right, you guys are standing at the top of a. In every direction around you, there's a cliff, but it's actually a pretty big area. This is a destroyed fairground. The charred remains of tents and people, skeletal remains, are smoldering on top of this cliff. And not just people, like all kinds of people. There's little, like, raccoony looking people that are just charred to a crisp. There's full adult humans. There's, yeah, it's a big mess up here. And it's been a mess for a while, so the rot has set in for what little wasn't completely blown away by fire. The blast was not centered on the center of the site, but was actually a bit off-center. This was, all just kind of crazy. And it looks like several people got away, either by teleport or by fleeing. There are signs that there were sections of unburnt area. It wasn't a perfect explosion, but it certainly has left a mess on top of the hill. The good news is that every direction is a cliff, and that means that anyone trying to attack you guys is going to have to go up a cliff, unless they can fly. The bad news is that you do see flying demons in the area. Above the trees and coming down out of the mountains to the north, as well as groups scanning the Badlands to the south in hopes of catching sight of the Wandering Rut before its next disappearing act. The airship is coming in for a landing.
Oh boy, is it probably coming in for a landing.
Do they look like they're going too fast?
They do, but they do appear to also be slowing. The main concern is that they look like they're in a boat. Like, literally a boat. And there's no water nearby for this boat to be in. So it's just kind of flying. You have no idea what landing would do, but you're pretty sure if it just lands here on the roof, it will then immediately tip over.
Have you guys
The bottom of it isn't
landed
even flat. It's like, it's a boat. They pull in overhead and kind of slow and float over it. ropes are dropped down, or like rope ladders that they use to climb down and meet, but one of their members has to stay up there to keep it in the air. He apparently has to remain sitting in a chair with a special hat on his head, or the whole thing will fall. Unless, of course, they use some juice, but they have a limited amount of time for that. So the question is, should they use the juice? And that's up for you guys to decide, as your parties are now fully reunited. The gorilla, the druid of dirt trees and weather, the archer, the steam ganassi, and there is a backpack that might have an alchemist sleeping inside it.
We still have like 2 tanks, 2 canisters of this.
That's correct.
So we could leave that running for a bit.
Yeah.
Unless you want to stay up here, and this is the archer talking to the druid.
Yeah, just to sort of go over the rules of that. Fully topped off, the machine can run for 16 hours. Each canister can fill it back up again for another 16 hours, but somebody has to fill it.
Winston asks, does this thing have an idle mode?
Oh, that'd be the gas. Unless we like actually fully land it.
All of your math says that the original stone that slew the god is somewhere under your feet right now. What do you guys want to do? What's the plan? This is full parties reunited. You've got the resources of all your characters. What's going on?
Well, it's underneath all this dirt and rock, right?
Yes.
That means I'll need to have this ship on idle so I can come down there and help with this rock and stone. I meant this earth.
Okay. The other druid is also here. So Troy's druid now could potentially take over flying the ship.
Oh, that's true.
Or any of the several other magic users. Yeah. But the druid can work.
Yeah, Tice's leader is also here. He's a magic user, and the Priestess of Fate is a magic user as well.
I guess I'll step out and let it kick on idle for now, and we'll talk about and we'll see who wants to take over.
The ship visibly lurches down a couple feet before the idling kicks in. It's a little frightening, but then the idling kicks in and the brooms activate.
At this point, the archer's used to it, and I'll stay on the ship until someone comes aboard. I have the fuel.
You also have the box of rocks.
I do. If someone wants to take this, might be useful down there. Who knows?
Tice, the rocks that he's brought back from space look just like the rocks you guys found in the Dead God. They glow with the same eerie red light.
Do you know if anyone has any archery and they want to have some of these smaller stones, they could attach them to their arrows and do some devastation damage to any of the demons that try to come near us.
They're not that small, are they?
They're not, no. But yeah, I mean,
You could
I
probably
think-
take a chisel to them.
I think part of the idea was keeping these out of the demon's hands because they were part of a weapon that killed a god.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I'm with that. I don't think we should give.
Well, by giving it to, sticking it into their chest. But if that's a bad idea, then
Better safe than sorry. Let's keep them as far away from the demons as possible.
Okay, I've learned that there's not a lot I understand, but
It's possible one of the demon scouts has seen you guys, so you might be under a little bit of time pressure here.
and you said the team flying ship got a bit of a rest.
Yes, they did. I don't
So
remember how much, but I specifically told you guys how much last session. So however much that was, you should have noted that, and that's how much you got.
Okay.
I think we got like 4 back.
Sounds about right.
Because I'm pretty sure I've already recovered. Looking at my sheet. Because I think I had some damage when someone left me in a hole.
Whoops.
So yeah, Tara will. Where's Tara? One second, that's the wrong one.
Would this be your druid character?
Yeah, that's his truth.
Yeah, my druid will come down from the ship and he will land his feet on the rich soil. Just be like, can't believe I'm finally back on the soil. This is a good feeling. And he will. It's like I'll need some time. Just make sure if you spot anything to try to keep them away. And he'll start using his he'll in tune with the ground again, and he will start pulling apart the dirt from the side, starting from the sides, and you'll like sort of like how an anthill sort of like falls down. It will start like as it slowly gets pushed away, so that it's a gradual pull, so he doesn't use all his energy at once.
Okay. The first thing you notice when you start using magic on the ground is that you don't sense anything out of the ordinary. It feels like it's just dirt and rock all the way through. But the mathematicians insist this is absolutely where the meteor fell. How much are you taxing for the spell to unearth this?
Well, I can tax up to 4 potential on it.
You have no sense of how far you need to dig, so yeah, you can tell me basically how much you're going to put into it for this spell, and I'll tell you the result. It's a mystery.
I'm good. Like, since this is we need to get this, I'm going to just basically put my heart into it, and I'm going to use all 4 of my potential.
All right, you blast this place apart. You said you're going to do it carefully, slowly, so you don't hurt anybody. But it turns out that the stone was way closer than you had thought. And as you are pulling the ground apart and spreading it away, you realize that people are going to start touching it with their feet. They're going to be standing on it. This stone is bigger than buildings. It's almost the entire size of this land piece that you guys are standing on. There's a name for these structure, this type of thing. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Yeah, I'll tell people to start climbing up on the ship.
Are we on like a mesa?
An arid mesa.
Yes, it is a mesa. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. That's exactly what you're on. You're on top of a mesa. And, yeah. All right. So, yes, the stone is nearly the entire size of the mesa. And it hid itself from your magics remarkably well. But, yeah, you guys are basically standing on top of it. It's not something you'll ever be able to fit in your pocket.
That's what we have a ship for.
It's not something you'll ever be able to fit in the ship either.
Like towing.
The ship can land on top of it, and the ship will fall over and still not fall off. An
That's true, we
entire,
did have an
nearly
entire
ceremonial
party on top of this
party
thing.
could be held on top of this thing, and has been for
Yeah.
years.
We did this multiple times.
Troy, your archer spots in the distance because you're being vigilant.
Yeah. I was going to mention this. I'm on the ship looking around.
Yeah. You saw what may have been one of the scouts fly north, but now you definitely see, for sure, 4 small flying things accompanying a large flying thing in the middle, coming out of the North Mountains. Clambering up to the spyglass on top of the crow's nest, you manage to get a pretty nice view through what is meant to be a stellar cartography quality spyglass. That there is a pit lord with a flaming whip and a flaming sword flying straight at you guys with some blue spiky demons on either side of him. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 blue spiky demons on either side of him, and on either side of those there are things with one with red and gold wings, one with blue and gold wings. They look kind of like people, but with wings. And very sharp teeth. Like they file their teeth to points. It's basically a pit lord, 2 Irenes, and 2 Spinagon. But congratulations, you guys have uncovered the treasure they were looking for. Maybe they'll pay you a handsome reward.
Sweet. I'll announce all that downward. As a good scout does. How do you spell Spinagon? Trying to look these up. I found it.
Spinagon.
Those are creepy as shit.
They're spiky blue dragon beast things.
Yeah, those are just...
There are red ones as well.
Yes, these are blue.
Oh, there's a magic card of them. That's interesting.
Well, Winston the gorilla hears the hunter yelling down and relays the information to the people on the ground, just in case they couldn't hear from the crow's nest. There's a bunch of there's a big looking demon flying our way, guys. We got to do something. He's got some cronies as well.
Could I suggest that we fly in a different direction?
Yeah, I'm for that idea.
Get everybody on the ship.
My experience with demons has mostly been flying in the other direction from where they are.
If you leave
Seem to work well.
If you guys leave, then the Pit Lord will certainly reach the stone and claim the God Killer weapon.
Yeah.
I sigh. A bit of steam comes out.
Are we gonna have to fight these guys?
Unless we can somehow convince a pit lord to not take his prize that he wants.
Or if you can figure out a way to move the stone.
I mean, can you teleport the stuff? This is the druid talking to the. I have to think about this because I have too many characters on the scene. This is the druid talking to the.
The king?
Uthalor did say that the stone wants to go home. The stone is highly magical, and the smaller versions of it have been used to modify portals.
I mean, we're in a vehicle, and the vehicle can go extraordinarily fast, as we've demonstrated.
Yeah, and stellar velocities compared to normal velocities are pretty insane.
And it is just a thing, right? So,
I mean, like as in hook it up to the ship.
well, I mean, they're demons. Oh, you mean the rock? Yeah, that would be a great idea too.
I think he was talking about just ramming the demons.
I mean, they can stab things all they want, and I'm particularly a little bit scared about their stabby pitchforks and things, but I don't think stabbing a boat's really going to do much.
Who do you have talking now? Is this your Steam?
Yes.
Okay, so my response to this be like, I have nets, so we could just hook them up. If I can hit the demons, we could just hook them up to the boat, and we just go sailing off with them.
Yeah, I mean, we can net them up, string them up to a couple of witches' brooms, slap the witches' brooms on the witch broom tussles or whatever, and just send them.
Alright, so your plan is to rig the witches' brooms into just launching mechanisms with nets? Is that the plan?
That is roughly the plan.
I'm so glad you have engineering.
If you leave the Steam Ganassi and the Archer alone, they will do this.
The only thing is you're going to need somebody to pilot the ship.
Well, luckily, there's only one of us that can, so
I mean, there's a lot.
I vote
actually.
that guy.
There's
or
a lot
are the
now.
druids? Are the druids on the ship now?
There's a lot
yeah,
of
so
druids below the ship.
Yeah, down on the rock, the new party that's joined consists of a straight-up wizard, a blood mage, a druid of shape-shifting, a priestess of fate. Yeah, so there's 3 other viable pilots now.
Are they on the ship, though, or do we have to go?
No, they're downstairs. And actually, the ship's original pilot is downstairs as well. He left the ship on idle. He climbed down the ladder to join the party on the giant red glowing rock.
Okay, I'm gonna go collect some witches' brooms. I look over at the other people on the ship, and I look over at your character Troy, and I'm just like, "Get us a pilot, and I'll go get some brooms, and then we'll get some nets, and then we'll make net launching witch broom stuff."
You'll definitely need the pilot in the chair before you start collecting the brooms, as currently the brooms are what's holding the ship up. But once the pilot's in command, then the brooms are no longer needed.
So I'll start shouting down and say, I need someone with magic capabilities. To if no one opts in, I will opt in also because I am me. That's weird to say, but it makes sense.
I was wondering, because the ship itself, it was able to, it started off super small, right?
It did. That was a spell that was cast on it, and then that spell was canceled by a scroll you guys read to activate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured we didn't have a reverse to that. I was gonna ask that earlier.
Sadly, I have no magical powers. It's gonna have to be one of you guys.
My Ganassi shrugs and says, I can make the ship small. It's one of the things my faction does. I mean, I don't really want to do that because I don't really see the point. I really want to shoot witches' broom nets at the demons. That's what I really want to do.
Well, no, it's not the ship that I want to get small.
It's the giant glowing red mesa that he's standing on. He'd like to shrink it till it goes in his pocket.
But like the landscape?
It's a significant portion of the landscape, yes.
Okay, well, I can't do that. I can do it for an item, maybe, but not for pieces of landscape. That's not really a thing.
Or back to the witch broom net idea.
Oh, this is a great idea.
The demons are coming. I mean, they're coming.
So
like,
is the archer.
they can fly. They can fly, so they're coming pretty quickly. So we should probably just decide what's going to happen soon. And what's going to happen soon is we're going to shoot nets with witches' brooms at the demons, or we're going to be skewered by demons. Those are our two options right now.
So the party's going to split into two. Sounds like two groups. One group is going to take the airship and try to do as much distraction as they can to the demons, and then the other group is going to protect whoever is going to try to magic this stone away. Who's going to be magicking the stone, and what are you going to be trying to do to it?
Matthias is gonna, the king is gonna be there to help with this magicking it away.
Okay, cool. Who's going to be piloting the airship? It needs to be a magic user. Troy's druid.
I think I am useless to the Mesa effort, so I should go up into the ship.
So now I'm just going to go through the characters one by one. I want you to tell me if you're getting on the ship to fight the demons in the air, or if you're staying on the ground to protect the wizard who's going to be focusing on getting the stone out of here by magic. So let's start with the gorilla, Winston.
I'm helping out with this broom idea.
All right, so you're on the ship.
I will defend. My Jade Knight will defend the Mesa.
Okay. Next up, the Druid of Dirt, Trees, and Weather. You're piloting the no, I'm sorry, you're not. What are you doing? You're, like, pretty much tuckered out, aren't you?
Yes, currently.
Did you burn all your magic to...
I put all my magic again because it was a giant task.
To uncover the stone under the Mesa.
He did clear every piece of dirt and stone from the entire Mesa, revealing the red glowing magic rock underneath. That's also how you guys got spotted, because so much was displaced. It became really obvious what happened. But, yeah. Okay.
I guess he'll go rest on the ship.
Okay. The Archer, I'm assuming, is going on the ship?
crazy demon distract plan archer.
The Steam Ganassi. Ship as well, or defending the wizard? Ed, that one's you.
Oh, the Steam Ganassi is going to be shooting witches' brooms at the demons from the front of
Awesome.
the ship.
Yeah, he's doing the math for broom connection.
The Priestess of Fate is going to get on the flying ship. Actually, the Priest of Fate might stay down with the rock. The Priest of Fate is not entirely certain what's going on with the rock, but the Priestess of Fate does know that she doesn't want to be near the rock, so she's getting on the ship because it appears the ship is moving away from the rock, or at least not going towards it.
Yes. The rock is very scary. It does appear to have 2 fate lines that are intertwined.
So I say that. This rock has 2 fates. It is not yet decided which one it will have. But I'm pretty certain that this planet is doomed. And then I climb up the ladder onto the ship. I look back down and say, good luck, and then climb up the ladder.
Okay, and that's everybody. So most of the party is getting on the ship. Only 2 people are staying behind. The Blood Mage and the Jade Knight are the ones staying on the Mesa. Okay, now that the shape-shifting druid has plugged himself into the ship and it is stable and the brooms deactivate, what feat of engineering are you guys executing here?
It is a pretty complicated contraption. It is going to be 4 witches' brooms tied each to a corner of a square, a relatively large square of netting. They're going to be launched at the same time. Slightly sort of pointing slightly out towards the towards like the outer the outside of the corner, like tent stakes, to keep the net taut. So we're basically making them fly not quite straight, and we're going to try and make them fly not quite straight at the same not quite straightness, so they keep the lines taut as they go out.
Okay. This is going to be an engineering roll, but you may ask for help on this from your various friends here, who may have various ideas on how to make these things propel themselves.
Are you trying to basically create a mobile net with the broom?
I'm making a net launcher with the brooms. That's my plan. I intend to launch net.
Did we find some sort of form of cannons on this ship?
I did look for weapons earlier, and I didn't hear anything back, so I'm assuming there's no weapons on the ship.
The closest thing you guys have to a cannon is a crane with a hook and a pulley.
Yeah, that's another option.
Monkey
What do you
could
think?
use that. I have how many? Oh wait, I've used this. I have 3 more net shots. That could be hooked to I'm assuming a singular broom or more. But I do have at least 3 more net specific shots that I can make with my bow.
Well, if you have a better way of launching these nets at things, that would be great. I mean, they're demons, they're flying, we're relatively high, we can get higher, and then we can launch nets at them. And if they have nets, they probably can't fly, and that's probably bad for them. That's my
Troy, do you want to make a separate check to rig brooms to be part of your net launching bow and arrow thing?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
However many I can hook up, and if I need to do like 3 separate shots or whatever.
All right, so you get your 3 brooms, and you're going to make your own engineering roll on that. There are many other people here, so let's go through them. Winston, did you want to help these guys with their project?
Yes. I can go grab the brooms. As many as we need. And bring them.
All right, you're lightening the load, making things a little easier on them. So go ahead and make a labor plus vigor check, and then you guys will get that as pips. Oh wait, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot you're a gorilla, and you don't have labor or vigor on your character sheet. Make a gorilla check. Roll however many dice you have in being a gorilla. I imagine you're pretty good at being a gorilla. It's probably like somewhere between 6 and 8 dice.
All right.
It's a badass gorilla.
Well, he's been a gorilla for several years now. He wasn't always a gorilla, but, you know, you get some practice in.
That's with no pips?
You're not getting pips, but any successes that you get will become pips for your teammates. All right, so both of you guys are going to have 3 pips when you make your engineering checks. Next up is the Dirt Druid. I know you're kind of just resting. Did you want to try and help them before you crash? You did pretty thoroughly exert yourself. So.
Oh, I don't know if he's back yet.
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
I feel like he passed out, and then he slowly rolled, and then touched the crystal. An amazing thing happened.
No, definitely not going to touch the crystal. Let's see. I don't like. Yeah. I think he's going to sit it out because he doesn't certainly have as much to do. So, yeah. He already did his major part in this whole thing.
Did you go back to the ship?
I'm resting in the bottom of the ship. He'll give you a thumbs up as moral support.
All right, the Priestess of Fate. Are you going to do anything to try to help out this engineering project?
I will observe, and I will take my glove off and go over to Troy's character, and assist in his aim.
Okay.
Mostly by being annoying and saying things like, no, not there, not there. Can't you see the wind?
Very good. So I guess you're going to wait until he's actually shooting the device and not help him build it?
I'm not going to help him build it, no, but I've got 3 pips up for whenever he's doing the shooting.
Okay. And then the last thing is, Troy, your character that's currently piloting the ship can't get out of the seat to help, but as the ship might be able to help if you can think of something.
My Ganassi shouts down into the hole and says, "Just ram the ones we miss."
Yeah, as I'm getting acclimated to this, what can I see, feel, not having Tice's experience?
So you don't see with eyes. You feel the shape of things around you. You can feel the shape of the ship, and it's as if it's made of your own hands and legs. Being a shapeshifter, you adapt to this extremely quickly. The idea of being in a different shape is not at all foreign to you. It's not an animal shape, which is a little disappointing, but the rigging to make the sails go up and down is just as easy as coiling and uncoiling your fingers. You do have limited control over the rotation of the pulley, but it's not as precise. The wiring for it isn't as delicate. And then you can feel the wires that pump energy from your magical hat into the flying carpets, which can be used to send the ship at an extreme velocity.
All right, I think at this point I'm waiting. I think I'm preparing to do things based on what's going to happen.
Okay. Cool, so you guys are ready to make your engineering rolls. You both have 3 pips. You're performing separate projects here. So Steam Ganassi is going to try and rig together a very large net cannon, whereas the archer is going to try and rig together 3 smaller. I guess you could think of them as broom missiles to drag whatever you net away.
I do like the term broom missiles.
All right, you guys are weaponizing witches' brooms. This is awesome.
Can I argue crafting versus engineering? Since I'm doing specific tasks for putting this thing together.
Very well, I'll allow it.
Also, I don't know what aptitude to pair this with.
Well, it had better be something cunning, because currently you don't have any way to make the witches' brooms go.
Yeah, that's fair. So am I rolling once, or am I rolling 3 separate times?
You're rolling once. It's more about figuring out how to do it than the actual labor of doing it. If you can figure out one, you can make it happen 2 more times. Let's see, Ed, is this your roll here with the 3 successes?
That was the pips.
That was his assist on the aiming.
Oh, gotcha.
We have 3 pips from the group.
Yes, from a gorilla fetching things for you, so that you don't actually need to get anything. It's like a nurse assisting you during surgery. You hold out your hand and say, broom, and a broom appears in your hand, and a gorilla's bounding away again, fetching something else.
Like Ganassi is pacing up and down the deck, wringing his hands, visibly steaming.
Isn't the Ganassi engineering something?
He is, but he's very worried right now. I thought Troy was doing the roll first.
Oh, am I doing the roll first?
I can do a roll. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, your rolls are unrelated to each other, so it doesn't matter the order you do them in.
Okay, so I look super nervous. I'm mostly muttering stuff about being stabbed by demons, and I seem extraordinarily concerned.
You seemed worried, and I was rolling separately. I have 2 successes.
I look over at the contraption Troy is building, and I begin worrying more.
Probably a fair assumption.
All right, Troy, you've basically constructed something that has to operate in 2 steps. So you have to carry a jar of that oil with you. And then what you do is the broom is just kind of floating next to you. You'll fire your net. And then if you can get the hit with the net, then you dump some oil on the bristles of the broom that you've tied up with the silver wire you stripped from the walls. And in your test, at least, you just launched one of these brooms and it flew off like a rocket into a mountain. You're fairly certain the broom did not survive the impact, but you've got some more brooms. So you get 3 of them tied to your net launcher. And so it'll be 2 steps. It'll be, you got to get the hit first. And then as long as you can then pour the oil on the broom before the demon frees itself, it will rocket off. These, of course, are small nets that will probably not work on the Beata Zoo. So, moving on to the larger net, let's see how the Ganassi does.
All right, so I nervously pace back and forth for a few more seconds, and then I take a deep breath. I look around, I lick my finger, and then hold it up in the wind. It steams up. And then I say, I can do this. Everything that I need is around me. I'm going to use my faction.
Okay.
And then I look up at the air, and I look at the clouds, and I look at some leaves blowing around, and I say, of course. Everything is around me. And then I use Omniscient. And suddenly I get a very calm clarity about me. And I go ahead and roll my engineering test. So I pick up a bunch of brooms, strap some silver cord to them, get a little vial of that liquidy stuff, and I bring up some magic carpets for good. Wow.
Holy shit.
So your threshold
Rolled
definitely didn't work there.
Yeah, I typed it wrong. Neither of my pips. Let me do it again.
Yeah, what?
He put the 3 in front of the T. It's supposed to be T3. There you
Oh,
go.
that is much more accurate.
That's, yeah.
That is glorious.
The original rule would have still had 5 successes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just typed it in wrong. All right. So you have constructed a thing. Please narrate this thing because this looks awesome.
All right, so it's 4 brooms lashed together, with a magic carpet kind of bundled in the middle of them, and it flies out for a little while, and then the brooms separate, and the magic carpet acts as like a grabbing net. I'm concerned that just regular netting could be burned off or cut off by their spikes, but I'm pretty sure the magic carpet's significantly more durable than that. And when they split off, as soon as they break, when they catch something, the brooms will smash back together and smash another small jar that I have affixed to the brooms. That will then power the magic carpet to just take off in some random direction.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead and say that you've got all of this rigged to what used to be the pulley and winch to lift things out of the cargo hold because it's already on a swivel, which makes aiming easier.
Yes, I've built a turret. Takes a little bit of time to load though, but we have our monkey friend for that, and this should be good to go. I have a glassy-eyed clarity about me.
Because each round of ammunition for this does require a magic carpet, I need to know how many rounds of ammunition you're building so that I know how fast this thing can go when he puts it into go mode.
I put in, I think I just made like 3 rounds, basically.
Okay.
I will assist with the larger net, since Troy seems to know what he's doing.
I mean, if that thing works correctly, it'll basically take most of the shit.
Yeah. I go up onto the winch and I say, it's easy. It's easy. You just watch the wind. And then and you notice that as I'm going up on the winch, every now and then I blow, like I like, and it just got to get the wind exactly where I want it. The Priestess of Fate says, see, he doesn't need any help.
All right. The demons are approaching, but Troy, your druid is in command of the ship.
All right, so how far off are they? Are they?
They've come down over the mountains and are starting to fly over the forest. They're nearing the place that would have flooded if Uthalor had successfully broken the dam. Thrusting the vehicle forward, you find that without the magic carpets, it moves like a boat, but with the magic carpets, it moves like a goddamn rocket ship. Fortunately, 3 of the magic carpets have been removed, so the ship does not incinerate itself from raw friction. I bet you thought that was going to be a problem the other way around, didn't you?
Possibly.
If you hadn't taken enough off of them, you could have potentially damaged the ship attempting that. But he did, so you are flying forward very fast on an intercept course. Do you want to go straight at the demons, or do you want to make a side pass and try and basically broadside them as you go by? Or do you want to slow down and just like try and stop in front of them? While thrusting forward with the carpet sail, you are not supremely maneuverable. But once you stop, you can kind of will the ship around as a ship on the water could be.
Okay. I mean, I don't know exactly how they're gonna react, but I feel like it'll be. So probably just basically head them off, and then, like you said, just kind of stop hard and set us at a good vantage point to hit them head on, because it's going to be easier to hit them head on than from the side, because they might try to maneuver around us. And so I'm thinking,
Okay.
yeah, just head straight at them and then kind of side hit in front of them, like a block.
All right. Presumably, you warn your party which side you're going to have facing them on arrival.
Yes.
Which side is it?
I don't. Is there a difference in the sides at this moment?
Not really. I was just, when you said aside, if you said either left or right, I was going to accuse you of not using nautical terms and correct you with either starboard or port. It doesn't actually matter.
I see.
I don't know which one.
Block it on starboard side.
There we go.
Which side is starboard again?
There's an easy way to remember it. Left is port because we should have left port an hour ago.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic. That's the way I thought of it anyway. It's like slamming in them being on the right side.
But yeah, the port side is the side you guys have the plank on. So if you wanted to stick out the plank and, I don't know, board a demon,
Yeah, I don't think we want to put
I don't
demon,
see a
so
use for that.
I'm putting that on the other side. Let's not let's not add a potential for demon board.
Well, the demons are flying. They might board you anyway. All right. So racing at the demon, you suddenly cut power to the sails. Momentum is carrying you, but you turn the ship sideways. It's slowing down. You guys have 4 demons coming right at you. The longest range weapon that you guys have, presumably, is this ridiculous magic carpet ballista that Ed has rigged together. But your archer is also supremely skilled. And I think at this point you've unlocked the use of the your master's bow as well. Is that correct?
I mean, are you telling me yes?
Oh, you've been back home since then, basically. You went through portals. Maybe not.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
say I have it by now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you have.
I've been working on it for a while.
And you have a mathematical companion that can help you with the numbers.
Yeah. Can't handle mathematical.
It's
Okay.
mathematical.
Yeah, I would say it's unlocked by that point then.
All right, so yeah, it's up to you guys which one of you wants to fire first. But technically, the ballista does have better range.
Yeah, I'll fire when we're getting in range.
All right, what is your target? There is 1 Pit Lord, 2 Spinagon, and 2 Arenes coming at you. The Arenes are on the outsides. Pit Lord is in the middle. Spinagons are between the Pit Lords and Arenes. They're in a flying V formation. They just watched the Mighty Ducks, and they're all about that.
I figure if we can mess with the Pit Lord, then the others will probably be concerned. I also figure that a rope net fired at a Pit Lord is probably going to burn, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot a magic carpet at the Pit Lord.
Awesome.
Perception engineering?
Yes.
I am still under the effects of omniscience.
It is most certainly the same scene. It will probably remain that scene until you're no longer fighting a Pit Lord. You have really good perception on this character.
I do, actually, yeah.
Alrighty.
It is my primary.
I mean, it is the record keeper, right?
That's what I do. I perceive things. I steam and I perceive things. I do realize the Pit Lord is relatively large, so if it is impossible for me to just down the Pit Lord or just like capture him in a thing, I might just try and capture one of his wings or something else. My goal is to get him out of the sky and potentially make him fall very fast in a direction that he doesn't intend to be going.
So he sees the projectile coming at him. He definitely doesn't want to be struck by a projectile, but he did not expect it to split open the way it did. And so his initial swing to hit it with his sword basically gets caught up in the carpet. But he is able to burn away one of the brooms with his whip in his offhand. So The end result is that you have reduced power pulling at him, and he's kind of caught up in his chest, but the wings themselves are not, and they are beating. He's being pulled back, and that he's not able to keep up with his other little guys right now, but he's not out of the fight yet, and a couple more whips will probably free him. Troy, your go.
Okay. I'm taking down one of the under, so probably the outer flank. They look. I've seen them, I think, before at this point. They're more imposing.
Yeah, the Irenes are definitely more imposing. They seem more like generals, whereas the Spinagons seem more like scouts.
Yeah, and I saw them on the way out. I know that they people talk, people speak with them a certain way. I want to take them out. I don't think the other ones are as.
This is straight up an archery shot, just like all the ones you've done before.
Okay, and I have how many from? I have 3 from
The Priestess of Fate has given you 3 pips.
3 pips.
It seems like she's been distracting you, but in reality she's been strategically trimming possibilities out of your future. God damn! You are an
A
archer.
bow's buff. Not that I did need the. Those were pretty close though.
The net wraps around him, the wire coiling back to the broom. So now you're going to need to make an engineering check before he can free itself. This is a contested roll to see if you can make the engineering check before he can cut himself loose. Or crafting, I guess. You could use crafting for this.
This is just straight cunning crafting.
And you need 2 successes or more in order to get the broom to activate before he cuts himself loose from the wires and the net. He's sawing at them with his enchanted sword that he had intended to use in melee combat. If he can't free himself before you activate the broom, then he's in for a bad time. Powerful, imposing, airborne, but a pit lord he is not. Oof, you just barely get it off in time. He finds a key knot that he can cut. He raises his sword up as though to cut it, and the sword is left in midair as he is pulled backwards into a mountain. At velocities that even a demon would shiver at.
Hopefully that goes as tested.
Oh my god, I can't believe it worked.
The other Irenes makes a motion to the Spinagon, and the Spinagon, instead of continuing along in their path, they leap onto the ship. Flapping their wings, they come and land on the deck. Winston, your crew is currently being threatened by a pair of spiky blue winged demons. You're up.
Oh boy. Looks like it's clobbering time, guys. What is the relative size of one of them compared to a gorilla?
They are actually somewhat smaller than you are.
Well, I don't know if I can take both of them on. Is it possible someone can distract one of them?
I think standing on their hind legs, they're only like 4 feet tall. Oh, no, they're 3 feet tall. Yeah. They're small things, but they are covered in spikes and mean and angry.
I jump up and grab one of the masts. I'm going to attempt to swing over and stomp down on one of them.
Okay, go for it.
Aiming for the head. I don't know. What would you consider that? Agility?
Yeah, agility or vigor.
Okay, I had 6 vigor last time.
Okay. And then some melee skill. You're probably at least like a 2 or 3 on melee, maybe more. Or you're using your fists, aren't you? That would be unarmed. Yeah.
I'll go with 3 then.
Yeah, so in total, I guess it would be 9 dice. Yeah. Yeah, you're a gorilla. That makes sense.
Five.
He is hurt but not out. You may narrate what you do to him so long as it does not include killing him.
He saw that I was swinging at him and was able to move his head. So I only got most of my blow on his shoulder, but it knocked him to the ground, potentially breaking his arm and maybe one of his wings.
If you're willing to take 2 dice worth basically 2 tacks worth of spike damage from the spikes on him, I will say that you did break his wing and he can no longer fly away.
Is there like a maximum number of attacks I can have on my guy?
Well, you can do 1 action per time that it's your turn in the spotlight. 1 thing that would be, the paragraph of your narration. This isn't like it's not like Dungeons and Dragons where it's like you have a specific number of attacks and things. We're sort of narrating a story together.
Got it. I will take the taxes.
Cool. All right. So you'll be swinging with that would go to your health. Yeah. So you're a little bit injured now, but you have broken off one of its wings. Let's see. I think that's everybody. The priestess was helping with the aim for the shot. Archer shot, Ganassi shot, and the shapeshifting druid is piloting the ship. So the pit lord is going to spend a turn breaking a second broom He's now able to overcome the force of the 2 brooms remaining and is flapping towards the ship. Being in control of the ship, Troy, what would your druid like to do? 2 Spinagons have landed. You can feel them on it. You also felt that one of them had its wing snapped off by an angry gorilla. But you also feel the Pit Lord is now beginning to gain ground, whereas before 3 of the active brooms were pulling it away, it's torn one of those loose again with its whip, and now the 2 remaining are not pulling fast enough or hard enough to prevent it from flapping towards the ship. Your archers will get another chance to fire on them if they don't get distracted by the other things going on. Also, the Erinyes is flying past you. One Erinyes is gone, but the other one is flying past the ship and heading towards the mesa.
Sorry, just one second.
Okay.
Okay, did Ed's thing have 1 charge? Is that the full thing?
He has
Or
2
3?
charges left. He made 3 in total.
Okay. Knowledge-wise, can you make the shots if the ship is facing away from?
I have a mobile crane, right? So
Yeah, it's basically a turret. It rotates 360 degrees. He can't fire down. That's its limitation. Though you do have a sort of sense that down may not mean as much in this ship as it does in other places.
I mean, I could flip the ship upside down, right? We're all gravity sync.
Yes, the ship's local gravity will keep you guys on board.
Annoyingly, it'll keep anything on board.
Yes, which means you can't spin the ship to throw the Spinagon off.
All right, I think from what I can tell, the Spinagons are somewhat being handled. Potentially the others are being handled. I want to position myself in such a way that it can assist with additional shots on the pit lane. If that means boosting the ship forward so that we're essentially sideways, or like I think it's still like facing that side. It's the most all advantage.
In all probability, probably the most useful thing you could do is to keep the ship steady.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'll keep it like keep it from moving anyway. It's gonna.
Very good. No roll required for that. All right, so then we are back to Ed. The Steam Ganassi has a shot. Right now, the Pit Lord is still there, and it seems like that's probably your primary target. One Erinyes did get away and is heading towards the mesa, but the Pit Lord is also starting to flap towards you. You've got 2 shots left on your improvised broom cannon.
is the Erinyes flying down towards the ground?
He's flying towards the mesa, but he has to travel some distance to get there.
I'm gonna help him get there faster, like really fast. So I'm gonna swivel the turret around and fire it at the Irenes, who I assume has their back to us,
Correct.
basically. And I'm gonna try and just witch's broom rocket her face into the ground.
Okay, make your roll. A Pit Lord this is not, so a direct hit is probably going to take it out.
Well, that hit a Pit Lord, so I'm assuming it hit the
Yes, it is, and it hits it from behind. Yeah, the brooms catch it, and they start carrying it out past the mesa and into the wastes beyond.
My Jade Knight sees that and lets out a sigh of relief.
What I missed? What just went flying?
Ed decided not to fire on the Pit Lord, but to instead fire on the Irenes that was moving away, the one that tried to get past. And so the Jade soldier no longer needs to engage in one-on-one combat with an Irenes to protect the wizard. That thing is gone.
Nice.
It didn't get buried into a mountain because the angle of the shot, it actually went the other direction. It went past the mesa and off into the wastes where the Wandering Rut travels. And perhaps even to the oceans beyond. Who can say? Team Broom Carpet is blasting off again.
I tell the king, whatever you're going to do to this big stone, you better do it quickly.
Yeah, we need to get to that. So, Tice, you're king there. What are you going to do with your magics? Oh, he said he'd be right back. Okay, so Troy, I believe you're up next with your archery shot. The Spinagons are both on the deck of the ship. That doesn't mean that you can't net them and fire a broom off towards a mountain, though. Additionally, there is a Pit Lord flying at you. The Pit Lord is only restrained by 2 brooms. If it gets down to 1 broom, it will probably be able to board the ship.
Okay, it's been using, for what I can see, it's been using its like whip to break the brooms apart.
Yes. Every time
Okay.
it beats its wings to fight against the brooms, you see like visible ripples through the trees as the shock waves carry back through the forest.
All right. Well, we have what was the result of the that I could see of the Winston fighting the spinning? He broke one wing
He
off
broke
of
one of their
one.
wings off. That one can no longer fly. And then the other one is has landed and is going to get to attack him this turn.
Okay. I'm gonna fire something off toward the Pit Lord. I'm gonna try to like I have the silver thread running basically through my neck. For connection to the brooms. I'm gonna try to like isolate his wings, I guess.
Okay.
Is this is absent of the assist of the sister?
Let's find out. Actually, Ed, what is the Druidess going to engage in the fight with the Spinagons, or is she going to continue to help the archer, or do something else entirely?
She's not really a fighter, so.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Nether is Haley, and we've seen what that does.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
She can totally Tila Brown that situation.
Who is fighting with the Spinagons at the moment?
The gorilla. He has gorilla pounded one of their wings off. But there's two of them, and they are in close range with him now, so they're going to be hurting him in this round. Tice, are you back yet? Okay, just checking. So Ed, what's your move?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how I can really assist. I will. Yeah, I will sit down and make a prayer that one of them is extraordinarily unlucky.
Okay. Put those dice into it.
Two success.
Right on. We will subtract 2 successes from whatever it is attempting. All right, so no, you have no pips from the priestess for this shot.
Got it. Just on normal stuff. Didn't need him.
Wow.
And that's what happens when you bring an archer to an arrow fight. All right, you've wrapped up one of its wings, and it's using its other wing to prevent itself from just careening out of the sky, but it's being pulled back again. No longer able to make advancements on you guys.
And Tice is back.
Yay! Welcome back, Tice.
Hey,
There's been a lot of activity on the ship. It's a little hard for your character to sleep, as some demons have boarded the ship and are stomping around upstairs. Peeking your head out of the undercarriage where you were in the hammock, you can see they have their backs to you and they're attacking the monkey. The gorilla smashed one of their wings off, but the other one is diving at it with claws, teeth, and spikes. Do you want to cower in the hold or do something about it? No wrong answers here.
let's see. I'm currently tapped out of my druidic magic, and I've never really been of a physical fighter.
And these are literal, actual demons covered in blue spikes.
Um, I guess he'll just throw grab a piece of like wood or something and toss it at one of the other demon to distract it for a moment.
Okay. So you hit it on the head, and it turns to look at you, and it looks like it's going to come after you. So congratulations, Winston. There's only one demon attacking you right now. And it rolled horribly. So 2 attacks coming against your health. And it's your move. Oh, you know what? That's no tax because it was cursed. I just remember that.
Oh yeah, it got 2 less dice, right?
Yeah. So it goes to claw at you, and it's the claw that was associated with its broken wing, and it doesn't work. So it's just growling menacingly at you.
Would it be possible to throw him so hard that he gets out of the gravity well of our ship?
Yes, that would be, yeah, absolutely. That's totally a thing you could do. Go for it.
I'm going to attempt to grab him by his good wing and spin around and throw him off the ship as hard as I can.
Put those dice in there. Let's see what happens.
I mean, you only got to throw him, what, like 6 or 8 feet?
For success.
That is right on the border. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Because that is an awesome idea, and it will look cool. Over the side he goes. Does he survive? No one knows. But he's certainly not flying back up again. Meanwhile, back on the mesa, there is a wizard guarded by a jade soldier. And that wizard is using some blood magic to try to teleport this stone. The stone itself is reaching out to you. It feels the magic. It is a rather schizophrenic stone. Part of it wants to hide, part of it wants to go home, and part of it wants to destroy everything. Planets, stars, the sky itself. Shatter it all and start over.
All right. So it feels like it's connected to something, some kind of like what I saw in my vision.
Do you want to try and connect to it to explore your vision?
Yes. So I can also try to attempt to, if I have to use its power to it would probably kill me, but it probably will teleport to wherever it needs to go. I'm gonna blow.
One of the things to remember is that what you're referring to is your vision. You're talking about when you saw the group of people pour a potion down an unconscious girl's throat and then spirits rise out of her. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because it has some kind of connection to it.
Yeah, that was not a vision. You were literally teleported to a place. There was time displacement and everything. Like when you came back, the time had passed in your absence, and you were not there, and people were looking for you. So you actually teleported. You didn't have a vision.
Okay. I guess I'll try to find a connection then, because because I need to find a way of getting this out of here.
There are two voices inside the stone. One says, run, hide. The other says, destroy. Which one do you want to contact?
I'll contact the one that says run, hide.
Okay.
As I sort of like kneel down and start placing my hands on, I'll cut my hand open and I'll place it on top of the rock as I sort of start channeling it.
You see a vision of a strange world. A world that orbits its sun rather than the other way around. A world with 3 moons. And yeah, that's basically it. The voice is just sort of, it's not really a voice so much, it's like an emotion of wanting to go home, but also of fear and terror and wanting to hide. If you cast a spell, you might be able to manipulate your blood magic to try and zoom in on the location, try and figure out where that is, try and get a bead on where it's trying to teleport to.
Sure, yes, I can do that. I'm going to activate my omniscience for this.
Ah, good call. Okay. Okay. You reach out. You sort of feel the space as a place that might be targetable. And then quite suddenly you sense something looking back at you. But you can't see it at first until you realize that it's the darkness between the spaces. It's the shadow that's behind the stars is looking at you. You've dealt with blood magic and blood gods and human sacrifice, but you've never seen anything this terrifying. It is utterly alien and completely not of the worlds you know. Meanwhile, back on the ship, so the Beatazu roars in anger and anguish, tucks its 2 wings together, and just kind of goes into a little dive. Crashes into the forest. There's a burst of fire. Trees in all directions are incinerated, and it rises up on a sort of whirlwind of burning ash. Sparks of red flying around it. It's now free of all 3 brooms, and with a beat of its wings that sends a shockwave rippling through the trees and snow flying back upwards off the mountains behind it, it rockets towards the ship. Ed, you have 1 more shot.
All right. All right, taking aim at whoever's left flying. I guess the Pit Lord, if he's still up, he's the one I'm most worried.
Yeah, that's
Frightened
who's
right
left
now.
flying. There's a spinning gun on the deck of the ship, but the Pit Lord is the only thing left in the air. It doesn't even look like he's trying to land on the ship anymore. It looks like he's trying to pile driver through the ship.
All right, took a shot at him. 6 successes.
Troy, you see the flying carpet mechanism go out. The brooms extend. The pit lord looks like he's getting ready to just put another beat into his wings and tear through it. I believe you also have one more shot with your net.
Do. And that's enough for me to just shoot straight into that. Six more.
Your net catches one of the wings, and so when he goes to beat his wings to power through the net with fire, only one wing beats, sending him into a spin. The net catches him, and he gets caught up in the cords. The brooms then fire and begin pulling in basically random directions, and he is stuck in the air, spinning uncontrollably. The pilot of the ship now has a choice. You can remain here and try to deal with this with no more ammo for your weapons, or you can fly away.
So we're basically between where we saw them coming from and the stone.
Yes. You're right now over top of the forest that the druids traveled through in the very first session of the very first adventure.
Oh, nostalgia. Okay. Well, I mean, we're rangedly outmatched, and we have one Spenagon left on the ship.
Briefly, although the rate at which your gorilla has been going through Spenagons indicates he may be able to take care of it quickly, but right now it's chasing your helpless mage below decks.
Perfect. All right. At this point, I think it's turn tail and head back toward the mesa, if anything.
Okay. You spin the ship
That's
around.
the direction I'm heading in.
Yeah. The flying carpet sails flare with light, and the ship enters into its unreasonable speed. Coming out of hyperspace, basically, over top of the mesa. Winston, there is a Spinagon still below deck. You saw it chase one of your mage friends who had thrown a plank at it below decks.
I will pursue.
Awesome. Go ahead and make your gorilla roll. While he's making that roll, Tice, having sensed this creature from outside of reality, looking back at you, do you want to continue trying to teleport the stone to this strange world that you've found?
So this is some kind of entity, right?
Yes. It is an entity unlike any you've ever encountered. You've encountered horrors that would just completely terrify any normal mortal, and yet this thing truly frightens you.
But it's in between me and the new world, right?
It is not. It is on the other side of the world looking at you. It's not inhibiting you in any way, but it's definitely watching you, and it is scary.
Let's see here. So it's watching me. as I continue on, I'll just keep an eye on him.
Okay.
Maybe send, yeah, like to send out like if like what are you watching for?
As you continue to work on the teleportation, the stone offers up energy to help you. Do you accept this energy?
Let's see here. Yes.
All right. I need you to go ahead and make that propriety check again to see if you're able to remain yourself as you channel the energy, or if it takes you over and you become a monster hellbent on destroying the world. Don't miss. Yay, you're still as sane as you were previously. I'm not going to say sane, but yeah.
Holy shit, that's a propriety check?
He's a politician, man.
That's right. I mean, most of our kings are, but holy shit.
All right, let's see. And is Winston's roll in there? Yes, it is.
I got 5.
All right, you've caught this Spinagon from behind and caught it very much by surprise. You may narrate what you do to this poor thing.
As I see it nearing the bottom of the stairs into the deck, I grab onto the top and kick it in the face as hard as I can.
Gorilla kick.
Hopefully breaking its neck or something of the sort.
In the strange backwards gravity, it finds itself bouncing around, unable to get a purchase, as everything is trying to pull it towards the middle. All right, the ship is over the rock. In the distant distance, you see the Pit Lord slowly and laboriously tearing magic carpets apart, desperately trying to free itself. Eventually, you see the brooms just fly off in all directions. And you hear it roar, and then the mesa begins to rise up into the air. The mesa is actually rising up into the boat, so the boat kind of tips over and falls onto it. You still have gravity on the boat, though, so gravity's doing some kind of weird things. But as the pilot, you could turn off the weird gravity if you want. Basically, you just take off the hat.
I mean, essentially at this point, the boat is laying on its side on top. Is that
Yeah,
what's happening?
it's laying on its side on top of the stone that was once the mesa, which is now rising up into the air.
Okay, but turning the hat off would result in everything.
Everybody kind of
Right.
falling sideways. Yeah. Not falling off the boat, though. They just fall onto the stone.
That seems like a bad idea.
The one thing you can think of is that it would really mess up the Spinagon that's currently only surviving because the weird gravity is causing it to bounce around instead of hitting the wall where the monkey's trying to throw it.
where can I feel everybody else at the moment? Like they're all like the archer's in the crow nest.
Yeah. Archer's in the crow's nest, so he will basically just reorient because he's already up against the ground. Yeah, the monkey will fall a little bit, but will fall on top of the Spinagon that will have a bad day. Yeah, nobody else is really in a bad situation. Your Steam Ganassi doesn't fall unless he wants to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. So the only person that could actually fall to a point where it would actually be off the boat is the person that really can't fall because he suggested that we fall out of the sky. Um, so yeah, I think at this point, if we've collapsed to a point where we're laying on our side, I'll just take that off. I'll disengage and somewhat brace myself before doing so if I can.
Okay. So yeah, you disengage and brace yourself. Winston, you finally get the spinagun in a good grip, and then gravity lets go, and you just fall on top of him with all your gorilla weight, crushing it to death. And yeah, and you guys are all on this thing. The rock is floating up into the air. It's, like I said, it's the size of a piece of landmass. It's nearly a mountain by itself. And the pit lord, screaming, is charging at you, and then suddenly is gone. And you guys are in space. Stars are flying about you. There's a planet. A sun begins to shine out from behind it. This is very unlike when you guys were in space. The planet is orbiting the sun, not the other way around. There are moons in orbit of this planet, and the stone is rapidly approaching one of those moons. Let's see, Tice, the stone that was in your pocket heats up, burns through your pocket, and sticks like a magnet to the larger stone. You see coming from a great distance the stones that would have been chained. In fact, some of them still have chains hanging off of them. Pull themselves in like a magnet. Stones come from out of the sky. You imagine they used to be the ones that were around the crack in the edge of your world. But you're no longer on your world as these stones gather themselves here. The stone is pulling itself towards a moon that itself also looks red. And you start to see something. Tice, you noticed that it did seem a little bit easy at the end. That your teleport seems to sort of take over and happen by itself. And at first you thought it maybe was the stone helping you. But now you see that whatever that darkness was that's behind the stars, it has chains that it's pulling on the stone. The stone is being pulled towards one of the moons, which is the same bright red as the stone itself. And it comes gently to a stop on the surface of the moon and then begins sinking into it until it sinks away completely, burying itself below the surface. The lack of air doesn't seem to be a problem for you guys. There's still some air near the Spelljammer, and that was kind of taking care of it. But now the warning sticks that you guys have tied to your belts are starting to turn blue, indicating a lack of air. You might want to get back on the helm for that.
Well, especially the guy that's standing on the rock by himself.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
The
I think we
Spelljammer's
better
on the side.
I think we better get on that ship, even though it's fallen over at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll reconnect, but hopefully these people have.
Reconnecting, you're able to get the ship sort of back up into the air and reestablish the air bubble. But there are two people still left down on the ground. They need rescuing because they're right now choking and unable to help themselves. Somebody needs to go out there and quickly. And then they need to be able to get back onto the ship again.
I mean, I'm still in my hazmat suit, right? The archer never took off his hazmat suit.
I don't
I just
think
put the
you were
helmet
able to
back on.
fire your arrows very effectively if you were wearing the hazmat suit, but you know where it is. You could jump down the rigging and get to it.
I will do that and hook up a rope and jump off.
Okay.
I'm accustomed to space a little bit at this point. Had a lot of practice.
There's two of them out there. Which one do you want to save? There's the Jade Knight, and there's the Blood Mage.
Who do I have affinity toward at this point? Where did the Jade Knight? He was not with us for our thing. So I know the Blood Mage as a person from our world.
Yeah, the Jade Knight showed up following some of your druids around. He didn't become a Jade Knight until recently. You don't really know him with that character?
I was the dead guy from the garden, but I have pledged my loyalty today to the Jade Emperor.
Gotcha. I think if I can only choose one person, I'm leaping down to, I think, essentially save the Blood Mage, because that was the person that from my.
All right, you grab the Blood Mage, begin pulling back up. Does anyone want to try to save the Jade Knight from suffocation?
Winston gets up and stretches and massages his shoulder and says, "Ow, that hurt." Falling on the demon.
Yeah, you're going to be picking bits of demon out of your fur for a while.
I'm going to jump down a rope ladder and try to save the Jade Knight.
Okay, now this is going to be a roll for you because you don't have an environment suit. So you're trying to hold your breath while rescuing somebody. You need 5 successes on your ridiculous monkey roll.
Got it.
Gorilla powers activate!
I do love gorilla roll.
No! I start choking before I can get
you start choking, and now there's 2 people that need to be rescued.
Are you gonna accidentally die by saving yourself? Trying to save yourself?
Yeah, both my guys are gonna die. Oh no.
Suddenly you feel a very slight breeze. Looking up, there's a shape of a man, but clearly it's only the shape, for what's behind it is not a man at all. It is some kind of darkness that is twisting and writhing with thread and needle. Chains have bound its arms, legs, and head, and yet these chains seem to be flying up into the sky, connecting to a moon. Air is coming out of one of its hands as it blows it towards you, and you catch your breath and manage to get the guy and climb back on board while this strange creature fills the area with air from its hand.
I don't know who you are, but thank you.
It opens its mouth, but what happens is not what you would call speech. It's more like a creature made of sound escaped its lips and burrowed into your ear and began scratching on the inside of your skull the message it wanted to deliver. It hurts and you feel blood coming out of your ears, but it says, roughly, in something approximating language, "You brought me stone, I give you air. Now go." You feel like a trade has been made somehow, and that it's giving you an amount of air equivalent to the stone you brought, which would be finite, so it might be a good idea to leave.
Yeah, I'm going to get back up on that boat as quickly as possible.
All right, you bring the Jade Knight back onto the boat, and now you guys have a choice. Do you fly around in this universe or head back to yours?
I mean, I'm in control, so I fly back to ours.
Awesome. Do you know the way?
No. I don't even know how we got here.
The
So
Blood
I don't
Mage
know
casts
this thing.
a teleport spell with the assistance of several powerful artifacts and dark gods.
I assume I just start flying in a random direction, and hopefully someone will correct. I mean, he said go.
He did. And, yeah. The word may have been go, it may have been leave, it may have been evacuate, it may have been also don't exist here. It wasn't language so much as it was an idea. Be not here, or don't be.
After I get on the ship, I run to the captain's area and tell Troy that this crazy weird thing with chains just told us to leave. Not so much in words, but somehow.
Pretty much everyone on the crew seems to be bleeding out of their ears and nose right now.
I think we all experienced it. So I'm heading away from wherever we were, but then someone else needs to take over for anything planning. I still have like a star map. Can I map this at all? Is it not?
The stars are
completely
entirely unfamiliar to you. You are well outside your home crystal sphere. Tice, you have magic powers, so you might be a good person to deal with this.
Yeah.
Can you teleport a whole spelljammer?
Like he'll look at the stand at the bow of the ship. Like the thing. I don't know. I do not know what you are, but I've come to make a bargain.
To you, the taste of blood is all too familiar, and it is your own blood in your mouth that you taste. But you have an answer of sorts, which is we bargain. We make fair trades.
I helped you bring back the rock. And you helped me bring back the god that was killed by it. I can help, and if you need anything else, I can help. I can add more to the accordance. I have the thing of Eldritch Court, and I'm pretty sure this is some kind of Eldritch being.
You do get that sense, but it's eldritch from beyond any of the realms you understand. But it does sort of hear you. Its response is basically doing hit point damage to you at this point. You can take that to your health or your sanity, depending on how you want to play it. But its answer is, I would have traded the rock for a return home, but the one in green asked for air instead. And the gorilla. It's kind of the idea of those two guys appears as they asked for air instead.
Does this thing have any use for some magical brooms?
Yes,
That's true. You do have a bunch of magical brooms.
but they were not the. Well, what am I taxing? Like, how much am I taxing every time he talks?
Yeah, basically. Every time he has to say something to you, it's going to hurt you.
By how much?
So far, just one, but that may add up if you ask him more questions. And the injuries may get more severe as his answers get more complex.
All right.
You're also not convinced that these living things that are delivering his messages are actually leaving you. They're just stopping doing damage to you and are nestling up somewhere inside your brain.
Oh, these messages.
Yes. After they're delivered, they find some place inside your memory to curl up and take a nap. But they're not actually leaving.
It's nice and frightening.
Are you going to offer him brooms?
I'm going to offer him my services as well as my city, as if he is able to aid me in the task of returning us. As I've already brought you back you put the part of the rock that you wanted again. It wasn't those two that brought it. It was by my magic.
The answer you get back is, city is too far. You are not useful to me. Rock was paid for in air. I will pay you in a short trip to the astral. And it looks like a piece of the sky was sewn out of cloth, and the cloth is tearing open. And beyond it, you see a silver void extending into infinity. The ship passes gently through into the silver void, and the cloth is sewn up behind you, leaving no trace of the doorway you passed through. That answer dealt 3 points of damage to you. And you guys are now in the astral, and someday may make it home again. But this is where the adventure ends for now.
Like Ganassi lets out a sigh of relief and says, "Oh, thank God. Familiar territory."
I knew you'd be happy about it.
All right, guys, I gotta take off. I need to get some sleep.
Right
Yeah,
on.
no. Right on.
This is the end of the adventure. So thank you, everybody. If you guys want to hand out experience points, but it's not really necessary since we're not going to be playing these characters likely. Again, they're probably going to become an encounter in some future adventure. But still, you can hand out awards if you like.
Yeah, sure. I still want to say the highlights of the session, and I'd like to give one to Jake for his guerrilla tactics. You know, he was going all apeshit on that ship.
Literally.
And then I want to give one to Kite for his nice awesome broom arrows that he used to take out a few of them. I'll give one to Echelon for his. In my head, I say I wanted. He took the Pit Lord on a magic carpet ride.
I'm going to give one to Tice for finding out what to do with that big ass mesa rock and teleporting us where it needed to go. Troy for captaining the ship in our time of need. And Ed for coming up with the craziest idea to kill demons.
Yeah, I think Ed gets it for solid ballista capture freaking device and description of to wrap brooms with a magic carpet. That was pretty. Winston for being our man on the ground because we knew shit was gonna hit the ship eventually, and knocking one down, and then repeating something from earlier of just chucking something off of a ship, like just throwing it. And then Tice Tice, you had a lot of good stuff this one. Shit. I think the best bit was that you accept the stone's help kind of thing. It's not easy to say whenever it's mentioned, do you want this thing to help out? No, I don't. But to go forward with it, it was a good call on that one.
I think to me, Tice's like shining moment, what wasn't even like one of his victory things. It was just his narration of how he cast the teleport spell to get you guys out there to begin with. Like 2 of his guards stepped forward and committed suicide to give him blood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was really like, that's very much a Planescape kind of like, yeah, that was awesome. I liked that narration. It added flavor for New Runeterra. It was that was good.
Yeah, I was trying to experience that through the ears of Jake, who hadn't seen Runeterra so far. And I could only imagine, but how did you feel about that?
That was unsettling.
Okay, perfect.
A little terrifying.
You felt how we felt the entire time Runeterra was on the map.
Like I said, I'm glad that the Jade Emperor is not a blood mage.
Yeah, well, you should have seen some of the earlier stuff. Like parts of the cogs are wielded with the blood of the unfortunate in the lower regions.
Good lord.
I liked your the map maker guy, the guy who was the explorer who was navigating the body of the dead god, and every now and then he needed to get his bearings, so he'd have one of his servants flayed alive so he could study the guy's insides to figure out where he was in the body of a dead god.
Ouch.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
And do you know what I thought was the funniest part was that somehow my city was the greenest city of all of them.
Hey, you didn't hurt any animals.
That's right.
You were my druid's like best friend.
No animals
Yeah,
were
well,
harmed in the ritual human sacrifices of the city.
Yeah, we never took anything from the stuff around the city as well, so all the woods were safe.
I mean, my city lived off like fungus and shit, but like we also hunted, I think, here and there. So yeah, you were still greener than the city that lived underground.
I was greener than the Druid City, technically.
So Jake, I want to thank you for hopping in and for playing these little characters here. Most of the time, of course, we like say make a character, invent something, come up with something new. But you, we weren't really in a good situation for that, jumping in halfway. So thank you for taking what was there and making a good job with it. These
No
are
problem.
characters got to have interesting stories.
Yeah.
I like them.
And
So
great characters can be made from NPCs, which you prove that. So, rock.
Yeah. What are some like your highlights that you thought of distant?
Yeah. So I mean, over the course of the whole adventure, I think to me like, because we went through a lot of phases in this. We went from playing as the cities to playing as leaders to playing as individual agents in a party, things getting broken up, split apart. I did find that it was a little bumpy sometimes for people remembering which party they were in. But for the most part, you guys kept it together. You kept the characters distinct and separate. Their personalities separate and identifiable, and that was really good. I think like I don't know like both the encounters with like the gods were really interesting, and I like that. But I also liked sort of the reaction when you guys went into space and you saw that the sun was held together by string. You're like, what the hell is this? But that what the hell is this really is coming from your personal knowledge of how real space works. From the perspective of somebody who lives on a planet and sees the sun go over the sky and is told by his shaman that the gods pull the sun around with a chariot. Like getting up there and seeing that kind of a universe is still shocking, but it's like it's the universe. And this is the thing I love about Planescape is Planescape really takes what you think you know and just spins it upside down and says no. And I think I most enjoyed watching your reactions to how weird shit is. That was my highlight.
Yeah, I understand playing this as Primes now. The way you've talked about it and the way you've kind of gone through everything, like you play this not knowing anything, and I'm really glad you spun that bit about the crystal sphere and the string and everything, because I just spent days trying to figure out how does this look based on how he described what does this look like. And I hadn't thought about the fact that it was like, oh, there could be an alternate thought to a rotating around. And there's so much you could do. It's ridiculous.
So this was for you, Troy, and for you, Jake. This was your first adventure into Planescape. What do you guys think? How was it?
I didn't think we were going to go see Zeus and like the god of death from Egypt. That was amazing. And also space.
Yeah, it's unbounded, which is the nice thing. It's different from anything we've done because we've always had these like extraordinary scenarios, but then there's like, oh, can you think of what could happen next? It's like, no, there's so many possibilities. So it's that like it is literally unbounded where we have these characters that do ridiculous things, ridiculous feats. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like I've told you before, it's I can't even explain this to other people because then they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, exactly. That's Planescape. And I've ended almost every conversation when I've been trying to describe this to other people with that statement.
By the way, I was going to say that my character died on a planet called Earth.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh man.
Think about what gods you met, right? Like, sure, no problem.
Made sense for you.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it's like this was a little bit more of a tame version. Like some of the stuff that is in Planescape, like I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, looking at the characters we met so far, I know a lot of those were like some of those were older NPCs, right?
Yes.
Like we were nothing compared to those older NPCs. Like Giant Beetle Man was Max's old character, right?
Yeah, that's the first one he made. His very first Planescape character.
And that's the beauty of like running campaigns like this. We now have these floating characters in space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, when I saw the giant shadow thing, and I was kind of some kind of weird magic user, I almost was gonna like hop off the ship and be like, Dormammu, I have a bargain for you.
Or is it Satan or something?
That is a character from our Talus campaign. It has had several names. As soon as
I heard him.
Yeah, it's had several names over the years. It has been called Weaver. It has been called the Traveler. It has been called the Moon King. That's its current, like, most recent title is the Moon King.
Oh, the Silver Chain.
Yeah, as soon as you started describing him, I like it was even more in Planescape because it's like I understand this Planescape style how this stuff works, but there's stuff happening and then you're sitting there describing Anui to me, and there's not another description Like you can't describe someone else with a Nui's description. So you've described a Nui to me, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this. There's a reason that his words are just destroying our brains.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I've never seen a Nui besides the skeleton.
I have I think personally tried to capture a Nui for a moment. It was a bad idea. It didn't work at all.
Yeah.
It looks like a thing that's like, it's got chains, it's tied to the moon. It's like it looks like the sort of thing that you capture, right? It looks like those kinds of spirits, and all everything's running the opposite direction. He's pulling the chains, not the object that's captured him. Like he captured the moon didn't capture him. It's everything's backwards, everything's upside down. Um, the things you think are alive are dead. The things you think are inanimate are alive and hungry, and you look delicious.
Oh my goodness, we could have accidentally landed on Talus.
I'm glad we left.
Well, and here's sort of like the backstory to what I did to set up this whole campaign, right? So, Talus is actually the second planet to be in that area. The first one was a disk world, not a planet. It wasn't a sphere. It was a flat disk. Because the Magus that created that universe, they were dealing with gravity differently back then. And an artifact called the Nova Pinnacle was set off that destroyed the planet, which was called Airflong. So the disk was completely destroyed. The Nova Pinnacle was activated in the throne room, or not really, the council chamber that the Magus would meet in at the center of the disk. And the energy from that council chamber, like, basically erupted outward, completely destroying the entire solar system. And the Magus rebuilt it from scratch using a different design for gravity, and taking the pieces and pulling them back together to make new planets and new moons. And one of those moons was made out of the old council chamber. And that moon is Somnus. And so Somnus was put in orbit of the moon Anui, but my sort of story was based on this idea that what if one piece of Somnus didn't get pulled back in? What if it had kept going, if it hadn't quite caught all of them? And that piece had kept going out of the crystal sphere, out into the universe, broken into another crystal sphere, gone through a god, landed on the ground, and buried itself. And like sort of this chain of events that would be set off as thousands of years in the future, the item starts to be unburied, and start to trigger a chain of political events in Planescape with the demons.
With some random town that didn't exist prior.
Yeah, well, and then we just, we sort of seeded the landscape. Tice, for whatever reason, decided he wanted to build his town on a dead god, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it'll just be that dead god then. Why not? Right? Like, that was so perfect. I didn't even need to bury a god in a mountain and have it hidden for you guys to find. Like, you just put it right there on your town. I was like, awesome, that's great.
Oh man, somehow accidentally I feel like that's all our campaigns are just like accidental conveniences.
It's not even that. It's not accidental conveniences. It's you let the characters create wonderful things and you just steal them. So many, like when I was starting a campaign at work, so many people were like, oh, I want to do this thing. And I was like, cool. Do you have any backstory for that? And they're like, no. And I was like, all right, that's good. I can use that.
Yeah, it's a too bad it's gonna be like super impossible for anyone to have seen my original character.
Did he die?
No.
He went back in time and then was put in a cocoon so that he never existed until the god that put him there wants him to again.
Oh my.
Yeah.
It's pretty sealed.
Who was the dead god, by the way?
The dead god was a god of exploration.
Oh yeah, I
And
think
there,
we narrowed that down one session before you joined.
yeah, they did figure that out. So they sort of, I chose a god of exploration as sort of this parallel to this idea that the map's been filled out, there's nowhere left to explore, and that wasn't the case until the god died. While the god was still breathing, like you guys were writing into the world, your own cities, where they were going, like you were exploring new places, discovering there were elves across the sea, and then as soon as the events transpired that killed the god, I stopped all that. Because remember, the god was actually only wounded, he wasn't quite dead. He still had his one surviving follower. But when Uthalor died in that explosion that you guys caused over by the river, at that point I stopped adding new things to the map, and that was supposed to be symbolic of the final death of the god of exploration.
I thought there was a moment, like we saw that downturn. I thought there was a moment in which you could actually, we were actually trying to bring him back at a certain point, and it was like, oh, that's not possible.
Yeah, there was. But yeah, it really all came down to Uthalor. Once Uthalor died, the god was dead. Now, we did sort of do things out of order, because we did Uthalor's death as sort of like the prologue, but then we went back in time and played up to that point. But yeah, that was sort of my own little sort of symbolism that I sort of sewed in there.
No, it was great. It went really well. It was weird that the druid party thing was a little weird, but once we understood the like time gap thing, it made sense. Because I wasn't 100% sure where they fit in, and then once we started doing stuff, and like that one scene where we were dealing with it was like the stupid shit with the cart.
Oh, yeah.
Like where we were escorting the cart and you had me show up and fix the situation and vanish. And it was like timeline sync. Like a lot of stuff makes sense at that point because now we're starting to like match stuff.
I do have one big question. How did that legal battle go?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in your guys' absence, they're going to try to rule in, if you guys aren't there to engage in the battle, then the demons will probably win, except that, of course, the demons don't want each other to win. So the demons will fight each other in court, probably forever. Here's a really interesting thing. If you guys had not failed to get everybody back on the ship, Inui's gift would have been sending you right back to the planet you were at, with the Pit Lord still charging at you. And that was going to be a cool scene because the Pit Lord was going to see the rock was gone and immediately land, put away his weapons, and become a perfectly civil, reasonable person.
Pop the briefcase out and everything.
Exactly. Like, briefcase is going to come out as like, the objective is gone, which means that now I get to claim the souls of everybody who signed a document saying that if I gave them power, they would get me the stone. And so he gets to go back to the Empire and just start collecting souls.
I mean, he's doing that anyway, right?
Yeah, he is, but you guys would have, like, the characters would have actually seen it happen. Yeah.
Damn it. Why do people need oxygen?
Whoops. Oh, well, the astral plane's pretty cool.
Yeah, now these characters are like an encounter that somebody might, in a future adventure, find in the astral plane. It's this lost ship trying to find its way back to a prime world.
Yeah, bunch of random ass people. There's also a bag. Who knows what's in it?
At least we have someone that knows a little bit of teleportation, so we'll go random into random spots.
And I assume time and space are like different in the astral plane, so we won't starve to death.
Time and space are different in every plane.
Yeah. This shit's fucking confusing.
Do you know, I still thought it would have been funny is like if somehow we like accidental party wipe when everyone went into the place where air dies. If we just said like just knock out of it and just walked in there.
Oh yeah, if we had listened to you guys.
You know,
That
listen,
That was me. I wanted to go check out the other two places, but they were not good.
The other like transformative moment was when Factal Riss was about to give you guys a Spelljammer Galleon, which had like cannons on the side, and it was a war machine. And she realized that your party only had one magic user, and it was like, oh shit, no, I need to give them the idiot-proof one.
Yeah, we could have had a freaking battleship if we had split the party better.
well, it also depends. Well, how would you? The only thing would have been like, I don't know if we would have been able to get it. I guess you would have cast the same spell.
For which?
For shrinking it. Yeah, because we had to shrink the ship to get it into there.
Yeah, she would have used the same spell to get it in, but when it came out again, it would not have been a little skiff with brooms and flying carpets on it. It would have been a full-on Spelljammer Galleon with cannons that the commander can, whoever's wearing the Spelljammer can basically fire at will. All kinds of cool shit. But that's for like pros. That's when you have a team of magic users that can operate it in shifts. People who know what they're doing, and yeah, it's like she turned around, looked at your party, and was like, "Oh shit, they'll fall out of the sky."
We almost did anyway.
Yeah, I mean the only people ever operating as the Spelljammer were primes.
Yeah, and at least in the best case, I think at least Belial got to get their first court case.
Yeah, and then he opted out? He just stayed in Sickle?
Yeah, he had a ride in court.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Is like that court case, Belial would still be there to represent the primes, even if the primes are not there to represent themselves.
Yeah, it's a fun couple character things, like what's her name? Maze or
The scholar.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she stayed behind, so she's not working for that company, right? That faction, whatever it's called.
No, she came back with you into the Prime World, and then went back to the Druid City. She
Oh,
didn't
okay.
go with you guys when you teleported to the Mesa. She went back to the Druid Collective.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the mouse is still with her.
God damn it. Didn't even get to keep my mouse in the end. It's alive and well. That's what's fantastic.
It is.
There is this
And
beautiful mouse somewhere.
And you have a notebook you can use to talk to it.
Hey, wait a second.
We may need that mouse.
A kite. It was made from your magic.
The mouse?
So that means if the ship ever gets near the plane of where our home plane is, we might be able to sync your magic with it.
I mean, we also have the book, right, to navigate back with
Technically,
connection-wise.
I mean, it's a message delivery mouse. She could give it a message to give to you. It might take it a while. That's a pretty significant distance to travel, but yeah.
I think that mouse is more suited to actually handling thought, like calculations at this point. It would be more efficient to ask that mouse to like work on star mapping and stuff. But that's some fun stuff to think about what these characters could get into. It's just like communication where this druid is constantly stealing the notebook and having conversations with this mouse, being like, hey, how's it going? What do you think I should do next?
Well, thank you, everybody. I think that's going to be it for the recording. And yeah, I may post these to some video-on-demand service, one of the variety. We shall see. But thanks for playing.
Good solid story.
Thank you.
Thank you.